Okay, I'm in London, just finished the masterclass in personal enhancement with Dr. Richard Bandler, and I'm here with one of my trainers of last year doing the master practitioners, Kay Cooke. So, Kay, first of all, how did you start here in NLP?
My journey to NLP began more than a decade, in fact, probably 20 years ago, when I was very interested in what I'd heard about the work that was being done in loose terms in the psychology world. So I read quite a lot about NLP. And then, I don't know, maybe just over a decade ago, I was talking to somebody who had trained in NLP. And I said, oh yeah, I know all about that. And of course I didn't, but I thought I did.
Happens.
Yeah,
that happens.
You know, because I'd read about it, I thought I understood it. And of course it soon transpired that that wasn't the case. So I had a bit of a life trauma, and I'd found that I'd lost the driver inside my own mind. So I initially entered my NLP training to reconnect, to rebalance myself.
Yes.
And once I was in, I was absolutely hooked and transformed. And it coincided with me changing a particular business that I was running. And I just completely changed my life and brought it in and created a new business.
Exactly. The amazing thing about NLP is that it's not a non-stop process.
No.
You just go and continue and keep learning, and you help so many people. So I would like to hear, or we would like to hear, one particular story, because you know you always get one story that somebody calls you or sees you several years after and tells you thank you, thanks to you, da-da-dee, da-da-da. Let us hear one of those stories.
Oh wow, there's so many stories. I think the most recent story is about some work that I did with a child who, his whole family had a problem. By the way, it doesn't matter who I work with, whether it's a child or an adult, any walk of life, the single thing that everybody asks for is resilience.
Yes.
That is the key word. And what I would say is resilience is about learning. It's about constantly adapting and being more flexible and upgrading. That, for me, is what resilience is. So a lot of my corporate work involves teaching people to be resilient, and I use NLP processes for that. Thinking specifically about the child that I was working with, his parents contacted me. The boy was 14 but had Asperger's syndrome,
Yes.
so that kind of socially and academically he was about 2 years behind his peers. And the parents contacted me because they found that their son had been looking at inappropriate material on the internet.
Yes.
And they'd become very concerned. They couldn't stop him. They worried, so they imagined all of the worst case scenario. They imagined that he was going to grow up to become a very unhealthy, psychologically unhealthy
Parents
adult.
tend to do that.
They do, they do, and that's not resilient thinking.
No.
So we went for a resilience approach. So I worked with the boy, and sort of when I'm working with children, I call it play, rather than we must never allow children to believe that there's something wrong with them or that they're in therapy. You know, this is coaching. In the same way that you might go to a football coach to be better or a trampoline coach to be better, then you come to see a mind coach to run your brain better. So after quite a lot of play and a bit of intervention, I asked, I got to the bottom of what the inappropriate material was, and it was a series of YouTube videos of middle-aged men who were kidnapping young pretty girls, wrapping them up in sellotape, and it was very unpleasant.
Totally.
The boy had actually, he wasn't obsessed in terms of wanting it. He became obsessed by trying to figure it out. So in his mind, he was absolutely terrified and was having nightmares that this would mean growing up
You
is
have to do
about
that.
you have to do that
Yeah,
or
exactly.
have it done. So he actually had been having nightmares for a long time. So through there's quite a backstory to that, and it's one of the case studies that we've recently published. The cool thing is I taught him how to take control over his mind, and so we set a very strong future. So he knew that he wanted a clean start. He wanted to grow back into being trusted.
Yeah.
So we worked on all of the feelings that he needed to create a strong future for himself. And then we had to work to dissolve some of those terrifying images inside his mind. So to you and I, the NLP term for that is changing submodalities.
Exactly.
And submodalities are the coding inside a person's brain, the way that they code it. So the way we did it was he was a Star Wars fan.
Okay.
So he
I can
imagined
relate to
himself.
that.
He imagined himself inside a starship, and he had all of the controls. But the controls weren't of the starship; they were the controls of his brain, so that he could bring up an image in front of him that had previously distressed him, and he learned how to shrink the images, or fade them, or explode them, or whatever. And he had great fun doing it. And one by one, we dissolved, or he changed all of the images
Playing.
inside his mind through play,
Exactly.
having great fun, but the whole time he was learning to take the master control over his thinking.
That's a beautiful story.
It was very powerful, and interestingly, we've just published that as a case study, and before I did that, I asked the mum if I could have permission
Yes.
to share it, and she said, oh, we'd forgotten all about that. And it was only 1 year since I worked with him, so it can be that powerful.
It is. And, you know, here we are in London, we're in the NLP Life Training, and I would like to hear from you, what is the difference? Because, you know, I'm from Venezuela, and we have only 2 or 3 or 4 people that have trained actually with Dr. Bandler. What is the main difference between a trainer that nobody knows where he studied, that you can go to a university, an institute, and training from somebody that has learned from the NLP Society of Dr. Bandler? What is the main advantage? What is the main difference?
Well, I can't truly say there is a single difference. There are so many differences, but let's start with something very practical. Richard Bandler, Dr. Bandler, is the co-founder of NLP. So in any walk of life, if you can go to the source of the material, why wouldn't you, first of all? And so you can, and I think I illustrated earlier, you know, I read, I thought I understood it, but once I actually got involved in the society trainings and realised how incredibly important it is to experience the change, not hypothesize, not ideas, to actually have that experience of change work. It is life-changing, and that's why so many of us go on to become trainers ourselves, because we've experienced the power. So the work that Richard's doing, and when you look at him on stage and you listen to him on stage, most people are only scratching the surface of what he's really doing, because the man is quite magic.
And that's looping, all that.
It's
Yeah,
so
it's
powerful.
beautiful.
So even as a group of assistants, and we regularly come, and we're always learning something new from him, and it's just a wonderful learning experience.
It's true. You recently had a talk last week, and I would like to hear the essence of your speech. What is the golden nugget that you would like to offer the people that are seeing us?
Thank you. Well, the essence of the work that I choose to do, obviously I will do all sorts of paid work.
Yes.
I work very strongly in education. The nugget for me, and I invite everybody else to think about it, is rather than have to deal with adults
Yes.
who are struggling with their resilience, behaviour, their thinking, what if we create a different attitude, which is to invest at a basic level in primary education? things that Richard Bandler says is before we teach information, we should be teaching strategies. So
Good point.
the heart of my work, which we call Happy Brain, which is a particular project, is about teaching strategies for learning, for behaviour, for thinking, so that keeping everything very, very simple, we teach resilience and we teach simplicity and clarity, so that the next generation make much better decisions that will affect all of us.
Yeah, it's very good. And how can our viewers follow you? Your webpage or your Twitter, Facebook?
All. So our main website is called the Managing Excellence Group, so that's www.the-me-group.com.
Yeah.
We're undergoing a big change with that at the moment, so it's a bit cranky, but we'll get there. We're about to launch a new website, which will be Happy Brain.
Happy Brain.
On Facebook, we've got NLP Northumberland. Northumberland is the northern region of the UK where I live.
Okay.
And Twitter, I'm at Cookie Babe. That's C-double-O-O-O-K-I-E. LinkedIn, K Cooke. Just
Well,
there.
well,
Through yourself.
yeah, thank you, thank you. Well, we had a wonderful time with you, Kay, marvelous trainer. I hope you guys get the opportunity to work with her. She really, really knows what she's doing. Really, really knows.
And learns every day.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for your time,
It's a
and I
pleasure.
hope you see you very soon.
Thank you very much. Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you.